Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, I'm Maritzah, and today I'm going to show you guys how to blend out your foundation flawlessly. I'm going to go really in depth with this, so get some popcorn, get a snack, something, because it's going to be a long one. I want you guys to really always have a flawless beat, a flawless blend. I always get compliments when it comes to my foundation and how well that I blend everything out, so why not share what I know with you guys? So go ahead and comment, like, and subscribe so you can really get all the information, get all the goods. Go ahead, comment, like, and subscribe, and let's get right into the video.
If I gotta choose me, I won't be afraid to. If I gotta choose me, I gotta do what I gotta do.
One of the key points that I feel like is important is moisturizing your skin. When you take care of your skin, your makeup also reflects that in different areas too, not just the skin on your face, but underneath your eyes, your lips, everything of the sort. Taking care of your skin really helps when it comes to having a flawless base and a flawless finish. So what I mean by that is you can have acne, you can have scars. I have scars. Sometimes, I know in my previous videos I did have acne. I had breakouts here around my cheek area. You can still have a flawless base. That's fine. As long as it's blended, as long as the skin underneath your foundation is healthy, you're always going to have a flawless blend. Make sure you're moisturizing your skin. If you aren't moisturizing your skin and you're not taking care of it, and it's just either really damaged, or you're not using the right products, it could really affect the way that you put on makeup. You can have dry patches on your skin from maybe you don't use moisturizer, so then you're noticing inconsistencies when it comes to your makeup, and you're like, hold on, this isn't right, and you're gonna blame the foundation, but it's like, no, you're not taking care of your skin. Maybe you're using a moisturizer that makes you oily, so then when you put on the foundation, you're like, okay, well, why am I still having all these oils? And it's maybe, well, your moisturizer that you're using, that's usually geared for people with dry skin. That's why you're super oily, and then you're putting makeup on top of that, which is gonna cause more oils, because sometimes there's oils in makeup, so you're just putting oil on top of oil. So you really want to make sure you're taking care of your skin underneath. You can have acne, you can have scarring, you can have breakouts, and still have a flawless base. I want to keep that in mind. You do not have to have celebrity flawless skin. You do not have to walk around with no scars, no breakout, no cystic acne. You can have that all and still look bomb AF, okay? There's so many influencers out there who have different kinds of skin, and they still do an amazing job at blending out their foundation. So now that we talked about skincare, let's get into how to choose your foundation. That's another key point into having a flawless foundation. Choosing your foundation is probably the scariest part, because you're like, okay, I don't want to look like Casper. I also don't want it to be too dark where someone's like, oh my gosh, she's blackfishing, or that is definitely not your shade. So it's like, how do I choose the right foundation? How do I do that? Right now, because of the pandemic, you can't just go into Ulta or Sephora and ask somebody for help and they help you, and they're like, okay, here's your foundation. Same thing at Macy's or any makeup counter. You can't do that anymore. So how do you do that from home, right? So I think it's pretty easy that everyone knows their overtone. Your overtone is pretty much your skin color. So if you're fair, if you're medium or tan, if you're brown skin, or you're dark skin in a deeper complexion. So you're pretty much like, all right, I know my overtone. I know what color I am. But it's the undertone that usually gets people. Now, the undertone spectrum, it's a range, so there's so many different types of undertones you can have. But the beauty community breaks it down to pretty much three main categories. You have cool, you have warm, and then you have neutral. Cool, warm, and neutral are always going to be in complexion products. You're going to see that a lot when you're choosing your foundation and your concealer. Knowing your undertone is going to be very important, and sometimes your foundation undertone does not match your concealer undertone, and that's okay. That's perfectly fine. There's a reason why there's so many different shades and there's so many different undertones, because you're not the same color all around. You have highlight points, you have your regular face color. It's all different, right? So when you're choosing your undertone, which can be tricky when you don't know what you're doing, understandable. Fenty came out with this really nice chart. I'm gonna pull it up for you guys. I think it's very, very helpful. And it asks 3 questions. What are your undertones? Ask yourself, does my skin burn easily? If yes, you're most likely a cool undertone. Then it says, do I tan easily? If yes, you're most likely a warm undertone. Do you burn first, then tan? If yes, you're most likely a neutral undertone. Now, if you don't tan, and you think that you don't get sunburn, but everyone gets sunburn, even black people who get sunburn, it's just different. Please understand that. Please wear your sunscreen. That is another key point in skincare, which we're not talking about today, but please wear your sunscreen. If that is a little bit confusing to you, I have another chart that I will insert here and also read out loud to you. You have a cool undertone if the veins on your wrists are blue or purple. You have a neutral undertone if the veins on your wrist are blue, green. You have a warm undertone if the veins on your wrist are slightly green or olive. That should be a little bit more helpful to you. Please understand that also you can have like a mixture or a combination, and you don't always have to just be pink or red or yellow or golden. There's olive undertones. You have to pay attention to the brands. Sometimes brands switch off warm and cool. It can be a little annoying. If you can pretty much tell your undertone and like what category you fit in, you should be fine. You really shouldn't have any problems finding a brand that has the foundation for you. Now we're going to move on to types of foundation in the sense of both like your skincare, what the products cater to, like the skin types, and then also the coverage. So we'll get into that, and then I'm going to show you guys how I actually blend my foundation. I give you all the information. Now we're going to do the demo, and I'm going to show you what not to do too. So now let's move on to coverage and types. Now when it comes to foundation types, there are foundations that are geared towards oily skin. Those are usually mattifying foundations. There are foundations geared towards dry skin. You'll hear a lot of hydrating. You'll hear that word a lot. You'll hear a lot of luminous, glowy. You'll hear those phrases when it comes to foundations for dry skin. But when it comes to normal skin, you can kind of go with both. Like your skin just will probably rock out beautifully with both. I don't think that there is necessarily a restriction when it comes to your skin type. I feel like there's enough products out there now that if you were to have dry skin but wanted a matte finish, you can find products to hydrate your skin underneath so that it's not overly drying when you put on your foundation and then your powders and everything of the sort. I think with oily skin, not all luminous and dewy foundations you can use. I will say that. Now, I am the queen of doing like a dewy look, but not every foundation works for me, and that's just the reality of it. But can you finesse some where you know you can have a glow and you can have some dew? Yes, but that also comes with practice. That comes with the right products, and if you're new to this, then maybe just stick to what works for your skin type before you can start finessing. Now with the different types of foundations, there are liquid foundations, there are cream foundations, there's powder foundations. So when you see a liquid foundation, that's pretty much the typical foundation you'll see. It usually comes in a pump, it'll have a squeeze tube. Then there are, for cream foundations, you'll see like a stick foundation. Some actually may come in a little circle container. Powder foundations, they usually just come in a compact. Now let's talk about the different coverages. So a tinted moisturizer, we'll start with that. A tinted moisturizer is very, very lightweight. It's gonna give you your skin but better. It's going to feel just like a moisturizer. It's going to give you the lightweightness of, I don't think that's a word, but we're going to make it a word now. It's going to be super lightweight like a moisturizer, but it's going to give you a little bit of coverage. It's going to maybe hide a little bit of your dark circles, dark marks here. Now with light coverage, think that, but a little bit of a step up sometimes, depending on the brand. Some brands won't ever make a tinted moisturizer. That's not our thing. We're not doing it. So they give you a light coverage. Now, sometimes they'll be the same consistency, and then sometimes it may be a little bit, just a little bit thicker, a little bit heavier. And when I say heavier, don't think that it's like weighing down your face. It's just it'll feel like a foundation more than a tinted moisturizer. With light coverage, it's very hard to build up. It's going to take a lot of product to really like cover your dark marks or cover any, you know, acne or blemishes, anything you're trying to cover. Light coverage is really not going to do that. It's not going to at all. The same thing with the tinted moisturizer. Like, you can spot correct sometimes with the tinted moisturizer, but it's really just kind of giving you just that all over maybe one color, but it doesn't look like you're wearing anything. Think of that with light coverage and tinted moisturizer. With medium coverage, it's alright. I can tell she has on foundation, but I can see her skin. It's a little bit thicker than a lightweight or tinted moisturizer. It's going to give you a little bit more coverage. It's going to cover a little bit more of those dark spots, a little bit more of that acne, a little bit more of the redness or whatever it is you're trying to, you know, add coverage to. Full coverage, oh, everything's gone. Like, you have a whole blank canvas. You are literally all completely one color. It's foundation. It shouldn't feel like there's anything on your face. Now, if your foundation feels like that, you want to get a new foundation. Your foundation should never feel like it's heavy or it's weighing down your face or it's itching or, you know, it's burning. If that happens, ex-nay it, get rid of it, stop using it, whatever you want to call it. No. Alright, that's a huge no if that's happening for you. Now, when it comes to tools, I think there are two most important tools you should have when it comes to having a flawless foundation, blending out your foundation flawlessly. And that is a brush. I have 3 right here, and a sponge. I will say this, I filmed this video already. They were clean before, okay? I'm about to say something that's very important. Always make sure your tools are clean. These were clean. I literally just filmed this video, and then I realized that when I was doing the thumbnail for the video, foundation got in my retainer, and there was just like, it was bothering me the whole time I was talking. There was just a brown spot in my my retainer, and I just couldn't do it. It's gone now, but I had to refilm it. But always work with clean tools. Always wash your sponge every time you're going to use it. So if you use your sponge yesterday, you want to wash your sponge today. You want to clean it before every use. Your brushes, depending on how frequently you use them, you want to clean them at least once a week. If you use them a little bit more frequent, 2 to 3 times a week, because it can really build up with the product, and that can sometimes also cause your foundation not to blend as well because there's just so much buildup in there. And when it comes to sponges, you really want to make sure this is clean because mold can get into it. Some people use hand soap, some people use dish detergent, some people use bar soap. There's so many different ways. Some people also use their what is that called? Your face wash. Some people use that to clean both their brushes and sponges. They do have brush cleaner. I will link some down below too. I think there's only one I can think of on top of my head. But you can Google brush cleaner or go to Target or Amazon and find some, and also same thing with beauty sponge cleaners. So getting into the actual tools. So I already told you want a brush and a beauty sponge. Now you're gonna think, okay, well, what kind of brush? What kind of beauty sponge? So the kind of brush that you want to have is a brush that is in between dense and fluffy, that gives enough where if you were to blend it, the product of your makeup wouldn't get stuck into the brush, or it wouldn't just move the product around so that you're getting streak marks. Also, stay away from using your hands. I know that TikTok is right now doing that trend where people are using liquid foundation and blending it out with their hands. No, that's a no-no. Do not use your liquid foundation and blend it out with your hands. Get a brush, get a sponge. Do not use your hands, okay? Do not. That's not it. That's not how you do it, okay? Now, beauty sponges, let's move on to that. There are so many different types of beauty sponges out there. I think every brand and their mom, if you make makeup or you create makeup tools, you have a beauty sponge. Everyone does. You can find different kind of beauty sponges out there. Not all of them are the same. Please understand that. Some of them are really, really soft to the point that it's just soaking up product. Remember, a sponge is going to do that. A sponge will soak up product. However, some of them just soak up too much product. Then there are some sponges where they're really hard and it's just not doing anything at all, and it's just like, bro, what is this? It feels like there's a brick on my face. Then there are some that are right in the middle. It's doing what it needs to do. It's perfect. It's soaking up a little bit of product, which is fine, but it's also not a brick on my face and it's blending everything out perfectly. So my favorite sponges are the Morphe sponge, this Wet n Wild sponge that I got, the Beauty Blender, but the black one, and the Juno & Co. one, which is a velvet sponge. And that's also important to know because there are different types of feels to a beauty sponge. So there are velvet sponges, there are silicone sponges, and then there are just your regular everyday kind of sponges. Everyone has a preference when it comes to their favorite type of sponge. Not everyone uses a beauty blender. Not everybody has $20 to splurge on a beauty sponge, and I get that because that's why I don't have it anymore, because $20 is a lot. You can, during holiday time, or even maybe just shopping around a little bit, finding beauty blenders in bulk. Rather than them being $20 a piece, you may find a kit of like 6 that's like for $80. Good deal. The silicone sponge out was really huge back maybe in like 2017. I think it was like all the craze. Some people liked it, some people didn't like it. That's just the way it is, okay? Like, some people like certain sponges, some people don't. Those are my favorite sponges, the ones I listed off, but you can find what works for you. So how I make this work, that's where it's like, all right, hold on, you're doing a lot of talking. This is a lot of talking happening here. You're right, it is, but it's good information. So I'm going to show you guys how to apply your foundation the correct way. I'll probably just not talk through that, and unless I need to, put emphasis on something. And then we're gonna also talk about product control. Well, I'll talk about product control while I'm doing it. So yeah, I gotta talk. Okay, let's do it. So I'm taking my foundation, which is the NYX Born to Glow in the shade Nutmeg, and I'm going to squirt. Sorry, I know a lot of people don't like squirt. I'm going to put some on the back of my hand. Now, the reason why I'm doing that is so I have product control. Now, when you see people squirting foundation onto their face and then rubbing it in with their hand, you're losing control of the product at that point. The product is now controlling you, and you don't want that. So it's good to put it on a flat surface like your hand. You can put it on like one of those makeup artist palette thingies, or like a glass plate. I know Jackie Aina uses her silica sponge. It's the little silicone one. It's flat and she just squirts her foundation on it, picks up with her brush and applies. Easier to build foundation than it is to remove it. So start with a little bit and then work your way up if you feel like you need to, because if you squirt that much on your face and you didn't want full coverage, well, now you got full coverage because you just did all that. You don't want to do that. You want to have control. So placing it on the back of your hand or a flat surface that it's easy for you to clean. You then want to dot it, or you can take your brush and make the placement, or even your sponge. And I'm just going to dot it here on my face. Now, if this is a new foundation, I wouldn't use as much because you're going to try to figure out what the coverage you're looking for when it comes to that new foundation and how much it'll actually give you. Maybe you only need 1 dot, maybe you only need 2, maybe you need a lot. It just depends on what that foundation is giving you. Remember, not every brand is going to give the same amount of full coverage as another brand. So I'm going to take my brush and I'm just pulling it down. And one thing I forgot to talk about while I was telling you guys about undertones and overtones is what you should match your foundation to. So a lot of people will match their foundation to their dress. That's their prerogative. A lot of people will also match their foundation to their neck. I match my foundation to my neck, so I match it here and here, and that's what I learned, is to match your foundation from this in between right here. So you want to make sure it matches then, because you should always drag your foundation down to your neck. And what I'm doing is lightly pouncing, and I'm going down at the same time, blending my foundation downwards. You don't want to blend your foundation upwards, you want to blend it downwards. And if you notice, I keep pushing my hand back this way because you don't want to go like this. Do you see how the brush is moving when I have my hand all the way down here? it's not really doing anything and it's just like going this way. Having your hand here at the end or even here in the middle, you want to do that because now you can see that the brush is going flat to my face. Just like how you're holding a pencil. You don't write like this, and if you do, your hand probably hurts. You want to have it at a good, you want to have good hand placement. You want to have it right in the middle, or you can have it on the end. Just as long as you have control. You're not really going to have a lot of control down here because if you notice that the brush keeps going up, it keeps fanning. I didn't put primer on. I didn't tell you guys about primer. Oops, I'm sorry. Primer is something you may or may not need. I feel like it depends on the occasion. If you're going to just like Target real quick, or you're like me where you're filming at 3 o'clock in the morning, you may want to skip primer. Just an extra step. You're trying to go to bed. Or you know, you're trying to go get that thing from Target that may just sell out. I can understand that. But if you are going to a wedding, if you are in a wedding, if it's picture day, if you're going to a concert, if you're doing anything that's not like requiring you to have a long day, I would 100% recommend a primer. There are so many different kind of primers out there, again, that range for your skin type, like oily combination, sensitive, dry, normal. And then there's so many different types in the sense of the finish. Some are hydrating, some are mattifying, some are, you know, give longevity, some do a little bit of both of mattifying and longevity, some do a little bit of both of hydrating and longevity. It just depends on what you're looking for. And it also depends on the brand and your skin type. My favorite primer right now is the Milk Hydro Grip, and I've been using this since like 2019 or something like that. It definitely is that primer that not only does it grip your foundation, and it literally does grip. Not only does it grip it, it also makes your makeup last a long time. Now some people, you hear them say, I'm anti-primer. That's fine, that's their prerogative. Everyone's different. And you'll find that maybe, you know, as you go on with your makeup journey that you don't like primer. I went through a phase where I didn't like it. Now some people, that's just 100% the way that they beat their face, and they may just find ways to make it work so it lasts all day. You want to make sure that you're choosing a good one, because sometimes the primer may be what's making your makeup bad. It may not be the foundation, it could be the primer. You're using the wrong primer. Maybe your skin doesn't like, you know, that kind of primer. It all just depends. So now I'm just taking the butt of the sponge. So every sponge is different. They're all shaped differently too. That's why I like pretty much like the teardrop sponges, because like they're usually all shaped the same and they always have a butt and a pointy end. So I always take the butt of my foundation, my sponge, and I just blend it around my face so that I can pick up anything that I wasn't able to. Like I said, a beauty sponge will soak up product. And then also it'll just blend everything out and just see it. That is how you blend out your foundation. You want to have a good brush. Good brushes that are affordable, BH Cosmetics, Morphe. I don't care for the brand, but Morphe has affordable brushes. Real Techniques. Sometimes you can even get those knockoff brands. Sometimes they work, okay? Those are good brushes. I told you good sponges. Just practice, practice. Have fun with it. It's makeup. It comes off at the end of the day. You can always wash it off. You can always try again. Play around. See if you like full coverage. See if you like light coverage. See if you want something that's medium or medium to buildable coverage. You can find so much. Makeup is not just put on an eyebrow and a foundation. There's so much to it, and it's fun. Makeup is fun. Even if you use it to make yourself feel better, it's still fun, okay? Hope you learned something from this video. That is the point of all my videos. I promise to give you more tutorial-like videos this year. I had fun. Wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with my channel, but then I remembered why I started my channel, and that's what I'm bringing here to my channel going forward, okay? More tutorial based. We're gonna do fun things too, but a lot of tutorials, a lot of helpful videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one, and I probably won't be tired. Maybe I will. Bye!